Hi people, well here we go again, telling the world in general that the newest version of the Commodore range is more powerful, quicker, less polluting, more fuel efficient, quieter, more comfortable and generally safer than the model it replaces. All of this in spite of the fact that VR was the most awarded car in Australia's automotive history, and VS looks about the same. However, the fact is VS is different. It does offer all of the previously mentioned improvements, but that will mean little to our potential buyers if they don't believe us. Our role as sales consultants is to know the changes, know our product, know our opposition, possess the presentation skills and have access to evidence to allow us to convince our customers that VS is all that we say it is. I trust you will find that this video will assist in that regard. A potential initial challenge associated with VS is that it is the first of this model range since the VM was released in '88 not to feature a substantially different visual impact. Keep in mind, however, that VR was also the only release since VN to stay in autobank mode for almost the entire life of the model. If it ain't broke, don't fix it would seem an appropriate decision here. VS offers well-accepted contemporary styling that will compete against a known look for Falcon and existing Magna and Camry designs. To mess with the styling under these circumstances was surely unnecessary. More importantly, it represents a responsible use of available funds on Holden's parts in producing a vastly improved total vehicle package, not just the same car in a different body shell. This fact was acknowledged in the May issue of Which Car magazine with the following statement. For the first time in a decade then, we have an Australian car which pays more attention to substance than style. So, responsible, yes, but also a little brave because it is a fact that we have educated our customers to expect that a new model will look different. Our challenge therefore is to have customers want to buy VS for reasons other than looking new. And the good news is those reasons are numerous. While you will have undoubtedly already had access to information regarding the major VS changes, I will endeavour to group these into a 6-position presentation and relate the changes to customers' dominant buying motives as appropriate. So, as always, let's kick off at position 1. Accepting what we said about the overall styling, we do, however, acknowledge the new badging, grille inserts and the new colours. Under the bonnet is possibly the biggest story on VS, our new V6 Ecotec motor. New? I can hear the Ford consultants choking on their coffee as we speak. Any bets that they will be busting at the seams to tell their customers it's the same old motor we've been using all along. Cast iron heads, push rods, all the usual stuff. And they're right. This motor is a logical progression of the near bulletproof motor that is now powering nearly 500,000 Commodores in Australia. Cast iron heads and push rods, you bet, and producing power, economy and emission figures that many multi-valve, multi-cam motors only dream about. And with the added advantage of design simplicity and the potential for reduced servicing costs further down the track. So, is it really a new motor? Well, every motor must draw something from what went before it, but suffice to say there are basically no major interchangeable parts from VR to VS motors. This is not the place to go into absolute detail, but broadly the motor features increased compression ratio, a lighter, more compact block, symmetrical combustion chambers, changes to valve train, lightweight pistons, new intake manifold and exhaust system, a new Bosch throttle body design which will provide smoother acceleration, and a new engine cover. The powertrain management system now provides for sequential fuel injection, revised auto transmission shift and diagnostic calibrations, and now features the latest Delco powertrain control module. This PCM doubles the VS memory capacity to 128 kilobytes and runs 50% faster while processing up to 1.3 million instructions per second. Given that this is only an overview, I think it's safe to say that this is indeed a new motor. So what does it all mean to the customer? It means an increase in power to 147 kilowatts and a torque increase to 304 newton metres. Given a slight increase in VS vehicle mass, This extra power and torque has not only maintained but actually improved acceleration times. While doing this, fuel economy has been improved by around 5% over VR, and the emission levels already meet 1997 regulations, which are approximately a 75% reduction from our current limits. Obviously, you don't achieve all this with bolt-on bits. VS is a total development package and represents the results of approximately $50 million of development in the US and around a further $20 million here in Australia. So, Ecotec, emissions and consumption optimisation technology, is not just a clever marketing word, it is a real-world result of advanced technological development. While we're still under the bonnet, we can also point to the new brake booster and master cylinder, which provides a firmer feel with reduced pedal travel. Vehicles equipped or optioned with anti-lock brakes now pick up the latest Bosch 5 braking unit, which replaces the current Bosch 2 system. In terms of buying motives, we have a story here for just about every customer. Whether their concern is performance, economy, reliability, the comfort quietness buyer, or the potential appeal of responsive acceleration for our safety buyers. The critical aspect of all this is, of course, the demo drive. Customers may not care that we now offer symmetrical chambers and porting, but they will love what that translates to on the road. Think back to your first drive in a VS, and I'm willing to bet it totally changed your attitude to the car. Always give your customers that same opportunity. Of equal importance here is, of course, how do we now stack up against the EF Falcon? Well, it's now around 9 months since EF was released, so it's well past its new car appeal days. Styling is subjective anyway, so on that score we'll win some and lose some to the appearance buyers. But for all other dominant buying motives, we do have the better story. So let's also do a Falcon comparison as we work around the car. We've talked previously about our lighter, more compact and better positioned V6 motor versus Ford's straight six. All those advantages still remain and are now enhanced with the introduction of sequential fuel injection. The article in May '95 Wheels magazine confirms that Commodore is now quieter. The VS executives sense a new benchmark for quietness and refinement. More fuel efficient. Again, Wheels comparing Calais and Fairmont in 6-cylinder versions. Our brief time with some decidedly lead-footed driving returned figures of 9.8 litres 100 for the Calais and 10.9 for the Fairmont. And quicker. Head-to-head on the track, the added power of the new Calais combines with the Holden's lesser mass to give it a slight advantage. The May issue of which car also confirms all three of these conclusions. Okay, so far so good. So let's head around the corner to position 2. Here we acknowledge the new Ecotec V6 badging, the new wheel trims and the dual body colour side mouldings that carry around from the front bumper. Keep in mind that any pre-VR buyers are yet to experience the revised suspension system introduced on that model and carried through on VS. Yet another reason to demo the car. How good is the mix of front suspension with our 5-link rear axle? Again, let's quote Wheels comparing exec with GLI. The Commodore is a fingertips car which can be hustled surprisingly briskly with an enjoyable neutral cornering balance. There's mild understeer in slower turns, but in quicker corners it keeps all 4 wheels firmly planted and spreading the load. This compares with comments about the EF, which includes gems like disjointed, unsettled and ultimately a little spooky, and its chassis imbalance makes it tougher to handle and far more tiring. Again, the Which Car article confirms these findings. So far we're the ones kicking goals here and it just keeps getting better. Inside the car we now offer, as shown on this car, the option of a passenger's airbag. If the partner is usually the passenger here and you sell them on the importance of this feature, then you just remove Ford from the shopping list. Words like, you may never use it, but what if you did, would seem appropriate here. We can also point out the new interior trim treatment, including soft cloth seat sides and back, and seat belts that match the trim colour. Of course, we still carry over our previous advantages over EF, like full-length door bins, full-length armrest, and easily accessed and operated door handles. At position 3, we continue to offer the option on sedans of independent rear suspension, a major comfort, safety and road holding feature that is not available on Ford. And again on sedans, the centre access hatch still provides comfortable seating for 2 adults when in use, as well as the advantage of protruding items positioned between rather than behind driver or passenger. Around the back of the car here at position 4, we acknowledge the new Holden nameplate, badging and rear decor panel, and note that we maintain our advantage over Falcon with a deeper boot with a wider access. This has the dual advantage of permitting standard size suitcases to stand upright in the boot, and also allows the largest and usually heaviest suitcases to lift through rather than over the boot opening. The spare tyre is easily accessed even when the boot is fully loaded. All these are important features to either the comfort, convenience buyer or the fleet or business buyer. Falcon fails on all 3 of these features. However, it does have a bigger boot, 465 litres versus our 443. As Ford themselves point out in their latest Fairlane versus Statesman training video, that means a milkman can carry more milk in their boot. Fortunately, most people you sell to will want to carry practical items like suitcases, car fridges and the like, and under those circumstances, Ford's extra 22 litres doesn't help them at all. Don't forget to point out to your safety buyers the substantial webbing bracing under the boot lid. This is an important, impressive and very visible component of energy absorption in the event of a rear-end collision, and again, a feature missing on Falcon. Here at position 5, we have the opportunity to consider the styling of VS Commodore. It hasn't changed from VR, but apart from an initial burst of first new car on the block buyers, that should be irrelevant to the car's long-term sales success. Here's the real question. Is VS styling in any way dated compared with its major competitors? Not only is the answer to this a resounding no, VS is in fact clearly still a style leader, which the Australian newspaper headlined in its automotive section as destined for classic status. At the driver's door in position 6, we get back to more VS over VR advances. One of these is the VS Key, a new slimline design with separate lock and unlock facilities. The introduction of the driver's door only unlocking facility again has the potential to remove Falcon from the prospect shopping list. This now eliminates the risk of undesirables jumping into the car from the passenger side as the driver enters the car. For anyone who regularly accesses their car in remote areas of dark car parks, this can be a very important feature. Again, if the prospect is sold on this feature, then Falcon is no longer an option. A longer or second push opens all doors, but if the owner prefers the all doors immediately system, then the key can be reprogrammed using Tech 1 to suit their specific needs. Our rolling security codes and deadlock facility remain as important additional security features that are not available on Falcon. Inside the car, we note the new, for executive, 4-spoke steering wheel, and note that features like our speed alert and low fuel warning chimes and headlights off function are all features Falcon doesn't offer. Even though this car has picked up this option, Executive still does not have an airbag as standard, and this too gives us the edge over Falcon, in so much as we give our customers a choice on a feature that not everyone is yet convinced is something they want or need. Importantly, however, if they decide they do want it, then our airbag is undoubtedly superior to Falcon's offering. Hey, now that's a pretty absolute and potentially biased statement if ever I heard one, and indeed it totally contradicts what Ford are saying. In fact, let me just quote from their Fairlane Statesman training video again. The Ford presenter stated, "The driver's airbag fitted to Fairlane gear with 3 sensors is a more advanced system than the one used in Statesman, which has only one. Since airbags don't vary model to model, we can effectively read GLI and executive in lieu of Fairlane Statesman. So what's going on here? Well, not to put too fine a point on it, one of us has got our facts wrong, and it ain't me. But I don't want you to take my word for that. You consider the facts and make up your own mind, and then, when necessary, give your customers the same opportunity. Fact 1. Ours is a 65-litre airbag, Ford's is 45 litres. With nearly a third larger bag, we clearly provide greater protection for a wider range of tall, short, seat up, seat down, wheel up, down, in, out, etc. situations. Fact 2. Our airbag is fitted with 300mm tethers and has a unique E-fold pattern to ensure a flat, burst out and limited travel towards the driver. Given a deployment speed of around 200 kilometres an hour and an approximate force of 1,000 horsepower, these are important considerations. Ford's bag offers neither of these features. Fact 3. Ford do use 3 electromechanical sensors. These are described well in an article by independent safety consultant Michael Henderson in the March 1995 issue of Which Car magazine, so let me quote. When an impact is sharp enough, a metal ball breaks free from a magnet, runs along a short tube and closes the gap across a pair of electrical contacts. In Australia, Ford uses this kind. As Laurie Spark, Holden's Manager of Advanced Engineering, has explained on a previous video, you must use at least 3 of these sensors, as one may not pick up the accident. In fact, some Japanese manufacturers who use these sensors actually use up to 7 of them. Holden do use only 1 sensor, and this was also described in the same article, so again, let me quote. Some systems, such as those fitted by Holden, use a single electronic sensor. These are more expensive, but are rapidly overtaking the older mechanical devices in popularity. Electronic sensors use complex circuitry to analyse what happens in that first tiny split second and work out what sort of crash is going to happen. Then it will know whether the airbag needs to be deployed. For Ford to claim 3 sensors to our 1 is true, but to state that this makes their system more advanced, well, you be the judge of that. It's a bit like suggesting that 3 of me splashing around in a pool could swim faster than Karen Perkins. Be aware, however, of what Ford consultants have been told and what they in turn are telling not just their customers, but your customers. And it's not just coming from Ford sales consultants either. Ford's current brochure states, the Ford system also uses 3 sensors instead of just 1 to determine when the airbag should be deployed. These sensors are more discriminating in determining real-world crash situations. The final fact, or perhaps additional fact, is the availability of the passenger airbag as mentioned earlier. A 120-litre bag with, again, a special fold and tethers to minimise the risk of airbag injury on deployment. As good as the airbag system was on VR, it has been further improved on VS with new self-monitoring systems, a dedicated wiring loom and a new Delco electronic sensor. The final new feature of Position 6 is the addition of dash-mounted tweeters to provide a 6-speaker sound system. As before, our 100,000k powertrain warranty is exclusive to us, and our roadside service is still a feature Ford do not provide at GLI or Futura level. Well, that's where we're at with VS Commodore. There can be no argument that this is the best Commodore package ever released in Australia. It is more powerful, more fuel efficient, quieter, more comfortable and safer than anything that has gone before it, and demonstrably ahead of Falcon in the areas discussed. As always, once the engineers have done their job and the initial release hype dies down, the sales success of a car relies heavily on the collective skill, knowledge and enthusiasm of the sales force, you. Know your product and its advantages so well that when you talk about it, the conviction and enthusiasm is obvious in your voice. And when you do that, I promise you, you will have fun selling.